and does set us free. Our piece of the conversation, however, is whether or not we will cooperate with the blessings and grace and freedom that Jesus brings into our lives. In that first lesson we heard, the prophet Elijah flees from the murderous rampage of the king and queen. Now, there's been a long saga of conflicts that have set this up, but they finally essentially said, that's it, we're killing this guy. And so he's on the lam. Miraculously, he finds his way all the way to Mount Horeb, or Sinai, to the holy mountain where Moses had his encounter with God. And there, Elijah has a profound experience of his own. Elijah is an important example for us, not in the grand and powerful displays that he carries out as a prophet, but in his dogged dedication to tuning in and listening to God and following through on what God asks, trusting in God's grace and guidance and protection, and doggedly going forward day after day after day. In our second lesson today, Paul reminds us again how we are set free in Christ. And he uses some potent metaphors back in the day. The word translated disciplinarian is a term that was applied to a household slave or servant who was responsible to watch over the children, to be their disciplinarian. Paul uses it as a metaphor for the Old Testament law, for the 600 plus codes and regulations and practices that were part and parcel of the Jewish faith that Jesus did. In Christ, Paul tells us, in our baptism, in that new life we're given with him, we're freed from that disciplinarian. We're freed. We are no longer children in faith. We are adults. Through faith, through Christ, we are freed and lifted up. In our gospel story, we heard that dramatic account of Jesus sending the demons away from the man into the swine, the herd being destroyed. In the midst of all that drama, there's some subtle things that are really worth paying attention to. Notice the demons recognize exactly who Jesus is as soon as he shows up. The author tells that tidbit in the story very deliberately. They know. Jesus' command over that situation is simply about giving the instructions, giving the orders. Okay, you can go there instead of back to hell, back to the abyss. Again, we have the image of someone freed from the prison they were trapped in. But we could talk for hours about what psychological, emotional, whatever thing may have been going on with this man. But what's important is that his encounter with Jesus brought him back to wholesomeness and to health. The description of his suffering is dramatic. He goes about naked for years, living in the tombs. Now, he's clothed in the posture of a disciple, sitting at Jesus' feet, and then by the end of the story, returns to home in the city, telling the story of everything that God has done for him. Again, freed and diligently cooperating with that gift. Listening to Jesus, learning from him, following his instructions, engaging in the life of faith. In our own lives, this dynamic is important because God's grace in our lives, as I like to say, is not going to come to us most likely as some kind of a magical transformation. I can pray and ask God to make me the best priest that there ever was. But that magic wand is probably not going to come down from heaven and tap me on the head. God will grant inspiration, strength, courage, determination, but I have to cooperate with all of that. It's the same in almost all of our lives. Rarely do we experience that earth-shattering, overwhelming moment of change. So, for example, if a person knows they've got a bad temper and they've got to do something about that, praying for the grace of a peaceful heart or the blessings of self-control is very important. But we've got to cooperate with that grace. We've got to work along with God's gifts. So perhaps a self-help book on anger management and practicing some of the techniques taught in the book is a way to cooperate with blessings in our lives. Or for another example, if a person wants to really deepen their spiritual walk, really deepen their spiritual life, they need to pray daily. But it's also important to collaborate and cooperate and engage deliberately with God's grace, to read spiritual writers and practice the things they teach, to read the Bible, to engage prayerfully with the stories of Jesus, to engage in that deeper relationship with Him passed on through those stories. God blesses our lives richly. God invites us deeper and deeper into that loving relationship that Jesus came to bring and offer in our world. And God asks us simply, conscientiously cooperate and collaborate with that grace. To love God in return, to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, to engage conscientiously in the relationship with God and one another.